Parameters allow you to substitute text onto a graph in place of a declaration, or have it automatically fill in certain areas. They can be specified in many areas of a graph to provide greater flexibility and increased maintainability. Parameters are interpreted as the graph is executed. Let's take a quick look at the join nodes. Remember this left input key code? Well, this is a parameter. There are 3 levels of parameters. Node level parameters are parameters that can only be used at the individual node itself. Composite level parameters are parameters that can be used for all nodes within a composite. And graph level parameters can be applied to any node on a graph. As the graph is run, it starts at the node level. If it finds a parameter, it uses the parameter. If no parameter is found, it moves onto the composite level and searches for a parameter there. If it finds a parameter, it uses the parameter. If no parameter is found, it moves onto the graph. Let's start with graph parameters. To create a graph level parameter, go to Graph on the Applications menu toolbar and select Edit Parameters. Then click the Parameters Declarations tab. From here, you can create as many parameters as you want. Simply click the new icon and complete the fields. If you use the same name as a field that already exists in a node, for example, the fields present in a database node, then the parameter will link to that field, thereby allowing you to auto-populate data without having to do any configuration. This is called an inheritance parameter. The field inherits the information from the parameter you created. Database nodes are the best use case for inheritance parameters, especially the connection fields that you have to populate for every single database node you use on your graph. An inheritance parameter can help make that step easier for you. Making sure to use the same format as within the field, I'm going to call my parameter dbuser. Going through the remaining fields, you have the parameter type, which allows you to select the type of parameter you need, from string to choice to Boolean. The next field to consider is the group field. This allows you to select which tab to display the parameter. Selecting the Run option will place the parameter in the Run Parameter tab. Keeping the default of 1 places the parameter on the Parameters 1 tab. Once the parameter is created, it is automatically available on the tab you selected. This allows you to create as many parameters as you want prior to formatting them. For this demo, I will create one more parameter, this time for the DB password field. For this example, I'm going to choose the type of password. What this does is secure the password so that asterisks appear in place of letters. Once all your parameters are created, you can move them around into a specific order. Simply click the down and up arrows. Now that the parameters are created, I can start to populate them. Going to the Parameters 1 tab, I will enter my DB user and password information. Notice that the password field is secure. This is because I selected the type password when I created this parameter. Now, let me show you how these inheritance parameters work. Opening up the Employee Info File node, you see that the connection fields are populated with the text I entered in configuring this node. Text that appears black indicates the value was manually overwritten by you. When I remove the text from the DB user field, you'll notice that the color changes to an orange-brownish color. This indicates that the text comes from a parameter. In this case, the DB user parameter I created. The same happens with the DB password field. What's great about these types of parameters is that as you share your graphs, all someone has to do is enter the new text into the parameters you created and run the graph. The nodes will automatically pick up the information placed into the parameters. But if you ever needed to override the parameter information, all you have to do is delete the text and enter in the new information. The text turns black and the node uses the information you manually entered over the information in the parameters. Let me show you that one more time. Opening up the Adjustments node, you see that the connection fields are populated with the text I manually entered. When I remove the text from the DB user field, the color changes to an orange-brownish color, indicating that the text comes from the DB user parameter I created. The same happens with the DB password field. Now I'm going to show you one more type of graph parameter you may need to create. This parameter will be used to specify a folder location for acquiring your data files. I start by clicking the new icon and completing the fields. I'm going to call this parameter Data Files. I will also leave all the other fields as is. Going to the Parameters 1 tab, I will enter the folder location that all of the data files are in. Now, unlike the inheritance parameters, where my job was done at this point, when using regular parameters, there is a second step to the process. You have to format the nodes that will use this parameter. Let me show you. When using parameters you've created, you will use the following format: curly bracket, caret, parameter name, caret, curly bracket, curly bracket. When inputting or outputting data, your fields may look something like this: curly bracket, caret, parameter name, caret, curly bracket, backslash, file name, dot extension. And the second format is exactly what I'm going to do. I will start by removing the file location path up to the file name. Then I enter my parameter format. So when I run this node, I get a successful run. The node read the information that was placed into the parameter to acquire the necessary data. This type of parameter is great when sharing your graphs. All someone has to do is enter their specific file location into the parameter you created and run the graph. Let's do that one more time. This time I'm going to use the parameter in the Manager Info node. I will start by removing the file location path up to the file name. Then I enter my parameter format. What parameter format do I use? Correct. Curly bracket, caret, parameter name, then close the loop. Caret, curly bracket, curly bracket. When I run this node, I get a successful run. The node read the information that was placed into the parameter to acquire the necessary data. And that is how you use graph level parameters.